Good morning from Salt Lake City, Utah. This is Jerry Hardesty. I'm in my studio, Jerry Hardesty Studio in Salt Lake, and I welcome you to my studio. I hope you enjoyed the painting today. I'm actually trying a third setup here in my studio. It's a very small room, so I don't have many options. So I've tried the light on my left, but all you can see is my left arm painting, and the camera on my left. So I'm hoping that this is much better, because I want you to get the most out of it, the best out of it, and I want it to be as good a video as possible. Again, this is my third day for going live, so it's kind of fun. I kind of like it. Hello, Lisa Friedman. How are you this morning? I hope everybody's doing fine no matter where you are. So, with all that said, let's get started. Let's get started on the painting. Well, as you can see, I'm using color this morning. This painting behind me, I've actually kind of cheated because I did an underpainting using a, let me see, what is it? Ultramarine blue and a turquoise to create the underpainting. And what I did is I mixed the paint with some gesso. Hey Matthew, good to see you, man. That's sketch. Anyway, I used some gesso to mix with the paint. Gesso is kind of a binder that artists use to help the paint adhere to the canvas or the panel. And if we're painting on panels, an artist especially wants to use the gesso to help that paint adhere. Not too long ago, I was painting on a canvas. Of course, I was using oil paints, and I must have sprayed it down. I must have used too much, I don't use linseed oil, but you get the idea that I was using some kind of a mixture with the paint, and I must have used too much of it because I was wanting to help it dry faster than it normally takes for oil paints to dry. The next morning when I got up to come into the studio and look at the paint, check on it, a lot of that paint had disappeared. So I'm assuming that whatever I used just kind of ate that oil paint away. I don't know, have any of you ever had that happen? If you do, hey, leave me a comment. I'd like to know. Julie Smith. Hi girl. Glad to see you back. Anyway, like I said, I mixed my paint with the gesso, and then I just, put it wherever I wanted it to paint. And then I took, and this is a fun part, I took a squeegee. See this long, wide squeegee? Long, wide squeegee. And then I just moved that paint all over the canvas in different directions, and I wanted to leave some texture. That's why I used the gesso. And well, thank you, Julie. Julie says it looks beautiful. I wanted to use the gesso to create some texture prior to adding more paint to the canvas. And not only did the gesso help with the paint, but it also the squeegee helped as well. Now, if I had just used paint to create a lot of texture, it would have taken me a lot of paint. So I wanted to extend that paint and make it go further, so that's what I've done. Now this morning, on my palette, I have mixed up several different paints to use on this canvas. I have mixed up, I have a cadmium yellow, and I mixed some cadmium yellow with some quinacridone red, cadmium red. I mixed the two together to create a warm orange. I love an orange that is mixed. Hi, Ellie. And then I have also what is called a pyro orange. So I actually have three oranges. Joni, how's Omaha? Or I should say, how's it in the country around the lake? Anyway, hi. Glad to see you on here. The orange, like I said, I have three oranges on my palette. And then I mixed up some phthalo blue. I also mixed up some turquoise and some purple. And then, of course, I have some white to thin things out just a little bit. So I mix all of those colors with a gel, which again it extends the paint, but it also can create some nice textures on the paint. And I wanted some thick impasto type a paint that will adhere to the canvas and be thick and looks so delicious. That's probably not a good word, but I use it anyway. And again, I'm using the same tools I used last week. I've got a couple of cheap brushes. Remember, I use cheap brushes. I buy them at Kohl's, not Kohl's, at Lowe's or Home Depot, maybe $1.50 a piece. I use them until, you know, I let them dry out and I ruin them, and then I just throw them away because I hate to clean brushes. So I'm using a couple of brushes if I use brushes. But my main tools that I like to use are palette knives. This big one is kind of my favorite because I can put a lot of paint on this canvas using this palette knife. But I also have some smaller ones as well. I like the pointed one, and then I have a few more smaller ones that I use as well. So with all that in mind, I think that's all the preliminary stuff I wanted to talk about. But anyway, we'll see here. So, because I've already got blue on here, I think I'm going to start with the phthalo blue, which is a little bit different blue than the one I've got on there. Now, see how I can put some nice thick impasto paint on there, and then I kind of like to clean my knife off as much as possible before I add another paint. Now, one of the things, do you see this texture that was created here? Maybe you can't see it, I don't know, but there's a nice line that was created with what I applied before. So let's continue just a little bit more with this phthalo blue. Now, some of the paint that I mixed up is transparent, and I did that for a purpose because I like to cover it up. I like to cover it up but have the previous layer show through. Here I've got some turquoise, but I've mixed some turquoise with white to give. Now I'm not liking what I see there. There we go, look at that. But I'm kind of scraping into it so that you get the effect of the colors blending together. There's some nice texture up there as well. See, I just paint intuitively, so wherever my palette knife or my painting leads me, that's where I'm going to paint next. You'll also notice that I wipe off my palette knife after each application. That's so that I can get a nice blend or a nice coat. Let's see, what shall we use next? I think we need some orange. And since we've got so much orange on the palette, the thing about orange, or anything that contains yellow, notice that. See how it blends with the blue? How do you make blue? Well, or how do you make green, I should say. You mix blue and yellow. And you can really get some nice greens by doing that. And I really like a nice green, a blended green, rather than a green straight out of the tube. In fact, I rarely use a green straight out of the tube. Of course, I don't paint trees anymore either. So let's try a little different. This is an orange, but it's kind of a peachy orange. So let's see what it does. So you get a different green here because you've got a different. You got some red in this orange, which is a warmer color. I think I want to. Well, let's do one more. The third orange that I've got on my palette. orange. Let's put it up here. See, it's more of a red orange. So again, you're going to get a totally different, extremely, look at the colors that are blended together there with the turquoise. Makes kind of a nice contrast. Now I've got this kind of a pattern going down in here. So I think we need some white in there, and I'm not sure I've got enough white on my palette, but I'm going to reach over here and get some. Kind of messed that up, didn't I? But you know, that's the beauty of painting. I can always go back in and cover it back up. And sometimes you get some nice effects. See that little twizzle there that brings the blue from the underpainting through? I like that, but that doesn't mean it'll stay there. It'll probably disappear with one or two strokes. And you know, I like the contrast too of going in different directions. See how I dig into there, and it gives me some nice textures. Okay. How about a little bit of purple? You know, if you've listened to my videos previously, you've heard me say that when I was a kid growing up, an artist always came to our little community of Osawatomie, Kansas. Can you say that real fast? Osawatomie, Kansas. It was just south, kind of southeast, I would guess, maybe southwest, I'm not sure, of Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, either one. And an artist would come to the Osawatomie Fair, and she would paint, but she painted in oils and she always painted landscapes, but she had tons and tons of people that would just stand around and watch her the entire time. It was fascinating. I suppose at that time that may have been when I really fell in love with painting, or fell in love with art, because when I was in school, art was not part of the elementary education curriculum. It was kind of disappointing. Now, what do I do with it? Oh, there it is. I think we need to spray this down a little bit because my paint's getting kind of tacky, kind of dry. And I'll spray my palette down as well because I don't want this paint to dry out. I've actually got a ceiling fan on today because it's kind of warm here in Salt Lake City. So we're going to see how that helps. See that? Helps smooth that out, but also helps blend those colors together. That liquid that you add in there. I really do like the underpainting though. So let's see what we can do here to save some of that. Yeah. See how I'm creating on top of the paint? It's kind of it's what's called a scumbling effect. In other words, I can go over this real light where there's texture. Where the texture it's not even, so there's some on top. So when I take my palette knife over that top part, then it leaves some painting on the top, but it leaves the bottom so that you can see through that painting as well, that paint as well. I don't know how much you can see what I'm doing, so especially when my back's turned, but that's kind of nice. Look, that's got a blend of the turquoise and the phthalo blue. So that's kind of nice. Let's do some more of that. I don't think I want that, but yeah, there we go. Let's see if you know what I'm looking for. I do know what I'm looking for. You can see it. Ah, there goes everything on the floor. See how I can take that paint and I can just move it around and get so many nice effects. Look at that white up in there. It's kind of marbling, which I like that. I like that effect. Now, I'm going to have to wipe off my squeegee, because I want the rubber part here to remain kind of flexible. If I don't wipe it off, then it dries real stiff, and then it makes weird marks on the canvas, and I don't like that. So I'm just kind of wiping it off here to clean off that excess paint. I do want some more white. I think I need some more white on this painting, so I'm getting some from the jar. Okay, let's move that around. An artist that I follow on Facebook and Instagram, mostly on Instagram. He's a New York artist. I think he lives in Brooklyn and works from there. He lives in a very small, I think he lives in a very small apartment. But anyway, he paints in his jeans or his briefs, boxer briefs, and then he gets paint all over his body. He's all the time wiping the paint on whatever he's wearing. And then after these jeans dry, He sells the jeans. I don't know how much he gets, but I'm assuming he gets quite a bit of money. But the funny part is, recently I noticed him painting. He's painting in his bedroom, and all I could see in this bedroom is like a double bed, and that's all would fit in this bedroom. It was very, very small. And he had canvases, just canvases, not stretched. They weren't stretched, but he had canvases tacked up all around the room. And in fact, he even tacked one up on the ceiling. Now let me tell you, the way he got there is he placed a small step ladder on his bed, climbed on the step ladder, and then tacked it to the ceiling. But all the time he was on there, this step ladder was wobbling. I thought sure he was going to fall. So he paints in this bedroom, on his bed. The bed is covered with paint. He's covered with paint. The paintings are covered with paint. And you know, it's kind of fun to watch him because you know. Anyway, I bring that up because I have some friends at the gym I go to, and one of them said, "Okay, I like your videos, Jerry, but why don't you paint in your boxers?" Listen, I said, no one would want to see that. So, no go, not doing it. Anyway, the friend who suggested that, she said, your fans, your number of fans would probably increase. And I'm thinking, no, they'd probably be leaving, walking away real quick. So that's not going to happen. So now I've got white there, but I think I've got too much white. So let's add some purple. And now that's getting dark. That's because all these colors are blending together. You know, if you mix this equal portions of all the colors together. Hey Taya, how's the gym this morning? But if you mix all the colors of all the colors together, equal portions, you're going to get black. And I really do love a mixed black. But I don't know how I get brown, but I get brown sometimes, and that's because I'm mixing all these colors together. So it's a combination of whatever colors you use that's going to cause the brown to prevail. Is that a good word? Now, hey, look at that. I covered up some of the white. Now bring it back. Ooh, now, white and purple. I think we need to use the squeegee a little bit more. And what did I do with it? Oh, there it is. I got so much stuff in this room. I don't know how. I don't keep good track of it. Now look at the textures that are coming through by using a lot of paint and keeping going over and over, spraying it down with water, and then moving it around with a squeegee. Who would have thought? Gotta clean up my squeegee again. Don't want it to dry. Well, I thought I did say hello to you, Julie Smith. I didn't mean to leave you out. How are you? How was the gym on for you this morning? That's one thing. In my previous videos, I looked at them. I was never I wasn't satisfied with what I actually did in those previous videos. They were fine, except that I kept looking at the screen way too much just to see who was watching. And it was distracting. I didn't like it at all. Okay. More paint. I don't have enough paint on there. I want this bottom down here more of this phthalo blue. It's a dark blue, but it's also a transparent blue, which I really do like. Now see, there's some texture there right in there which left that little spot, which my knife won't get down in there. I suppose if I spray it down a little bit, and then use the squeegee on it, we'll see what happens. Yeah. Now see, I've got too much paint. Too much of the phthalo blue, but I really like that phthalo blue. Alright. See how sometimes the palette knife will also, or the squeegee will also leave some lines which create some interesting effects. I really like lines. Now this is caused, this one right here, this line right here, if you can see it, is caused by the texture of the gesso and the paint that I put on previously as an under painting. Got too much paint on here. Gotta clean it off again. Well, hello Annie, you're working out and watching. That's multitasking. Glad you're here. Jason, I'm with Nate and I'm watching and working out. Well, good for you guys. Or you said you were, you didn't say Nate was watching, but he's working out. Well, you guys are so loyal. Wish I had a workout partner. Oh well, someday life will be more normal than it is right now. By the way, if anybody wants to buy this painting that I'm working on, you're welcome to do that. Let's get some more of this color. Since Annie's on here, and I know this is one of her favorite colors. How's that, Annie? That's just for you, that little white there. To create that teal, you can call it teal, I call it turquoise. More water. Thirsty little thing, isn't it? What am I after? Oh, it's in my hand. You see these little lines right here? Perhaps you don't, because it's you know, it's pretty. Ouch! What do you mean, ouch, Jason? mean, Jason. Anyway, what I was saying, you see these lines right here? It's creating some texture. It looks like I took a piece of corrugated cardboard and placed it into the wet paint, or the paint while it was still wet. But I really didn't do that, so I'm not sure how I got that texture, but I do like it very much. And I see that Julie says that Anne likes it very much. So, thanks, Anne. I appreciate it. Jason, did you hurt yourself? Oh, I see. Jason's sympathizing with me because I don't have a workout buddy. Okay, let's do some more. I think I want to do some more of the turquoise. Where should I? Down here. You know, when I was talking about the lady that painted at the fair where I grew up, every time she would put some new paint on her canvas, oh, everybody thought, oh, she's messing it up. She's messing it up. So I wonder, do you ever think that about me? What I'm doing here, you think I'm messing it up? Sometimes I think I'm messing it up. I am doing it. I really like that spot right there. You like that? I do. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, this is going to fall. Maybe not. I'm still here. Just trying to clean things as I go along. You know, if you put paint on and then you take it off and kind of blend it in with what you've done before, it's drying pretty fast. It must be because of my ceiling fan. Some more right here. Oops. As usual, I'm making a mess. Blue Boxer? That might be a good title. Annie wants me to name the painting Blue Boxer. I will consider it. It doesn't look like a boxer, does it? Well, I don't know. It's in a square shape. Smeared that up. That doesn't look good at all. What shall I do? I'm going to scrape that off. Now I need to smooth that out. Blend it in, blend it in, blend it in. Dripping. Tell you what, Annie, if you come and buy this painting, I'll call it Blue Boxer. Hey, there's Merrily. Hi, Merrily. Merrily is from, she's a former high school or classmate of mine. Actually, we knew each other from kindergarten through high school. Looking good. Looking good. Thanks, Merrily. Is it? Let's see. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Is that right, Merrily? That's better. Oh shit. What happened there? Oops, sorry. Sorry. So what about that, Jason? Are you going to purchase this for Annie? I think I shared with you the other day that rubbing alcohol will help dissolve paint, acrylic paint anyway. So let's see what we can do here. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I wanted. It helps to dig down into the layers to create more texture. There, that's better. I'm liking that better. This one's getting down to see the white that's being revealed down there. Okay. I think we're just about finished here. I don't know how long we've been on here. Let me check.